on-the-move options trader course. We'll get there in just a second. First of all, I want to give you a little disclaimer. Actually, Lucci's not even here, so we're probably not. We're not going to be cursing that much. He's the only cowboy clown around here. But just to give you guys an idea of who we are, what we do, St. Lucci is a team of traders. Actually, it's mostly Lucci himself. I'm the risk manager. My name's Peter. People know me as the Asian Persuasion. I've got Zach Musso here, ZMoose12 on Twitter. Make sure to shout out to him. He has recently joined up with the Lucci team. And essentially, we're tape readers and we are option slingers. A lot of those guys out there trying to trade options don't really know what the heck they're doing, and they're getting smoked. So essentially, we are here to help you guys out. So again, feel free to email us at any time. We're here as a resource for all the smaller guys. All of us came from the retail trading area. None of us were, we weren't bank traders. We didn't have unlimited capital. We all started from, the measly $5,000 account, and essentially just grew it from there and bumped into each other, thankfully. And we now have a hedge fund that's freaking awesome, and we're teaching everybody. So again, guys, I don't think you're going to have many opportunities to learn from guys like us. Lucci is a great trader, a great teacher. We have a lot of guys in here that are from previous courses. What's up, guys? Hopefully you guys are enjoying the current class right now. We're running a 12-day course right now. That's the advanced course. But again, guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into it. If you have any questions, please put them in the question box. We will get to them however we see fit. We'll either get it during the webinar, or we're going to get it through afterwards on a follow-up. So just to kind of jump into things, I'm going to go ahead and show you the thinkorswim chart here. Moose is going to talk about it really quick from his market profiling standpoint and what he sees here, and I'm going to tell you how we traded it. I will show you all the orders, and I will show you all the level 2s that we went through. And I was talking to Moose the entire morning about it as I was reading the tape and watching it, and as he was giving me the profile looks throughout the day. As you know, we made about 20 grand on it. Should have made $1 million, but $1 million is always around the corner, it seems like, for us. But anyhow, I'll leave it to Moose real quick to explain the profiling here.
So what's going on, guys? How we doing? I hope everybody's enjoying their Friday so far. I'm going to zoom in here. Both of these charts are the 1 minute. So the chart you see on top is the 1 minute with the market profile itself, and the 1 minute below is just the naked chart that you can see with just the volume over time. So again, just to give a quick definition of market profiling is the way to visualize the time in sales if you're reading the tape. So what we're looking at here is volume over price relative to this volume over time that we normally see on a normal chart. So this morning, when we were really looking at levels, the first level that was a major part of the decision-making process from this morning was that 887.50 level that held on a resistance standpoint in Google during pre-market. We blew out that level and continued moving lower all the way down to about 880. And this was a multi-day pivot level that we were looking at. And this actually turned out to be the volume point of control, or the level that most of the volume came in at with regard to a specific price. So you can kind of see how a lot of volume was in this 882 to about 879 range. And that's we were watching this morning. There wasn't really much going on down here. It was a shakeout. I mean, we held that VWAP level, and we held that 883.25 level, and we just continued to roll down. And again, that morning, that first minute was a lot of volume, and it really set the tone for what we thought was going to be a move lower. And when we saw bids start to come in, when we saw this market, this support level or this low get put in the intraday session itself, this continued to move back up, and our main look was what was going on with VWAP. Okay, could we get above that continual moving price that continued to move down? And we saw a lot of bids come in here. We saw another little flush out, but the main thing that we looked at here was this higher low that was established from this level over here at 876 about. So this right here. I'm just going to zoom in. I'm going to take this right here. That looks like shit. There we go. This level right here. So this was about a buck range, and this is where Pete and I were really talking a lot. We were saying, listen, there's something's going on. This is either going to blow out to the downside, or we're going to see something to the upside. What are we going to see? What are we going to see? And when we actually saw bids continue to hold at this 880 level, this was a really important level today, and we can see it on the profile itself. I mean, this is pretty clear, pretty cut and dry on the profile. At this 880 level, this point of control, a lot of the volume took place in between here. So when this bid held, and we continued to see this bid step higher, and then we held VWAP, now we're really starting to hold all of this buying that was done here. We're holding it. So that bid held, and all these levels, all of this buying was so strong, and that was the main thing that Pete and I were talking about. This level from about, I would say about 10:10 all the way to 10:30. So there was a 20-minute window where we were like, this thing is going to move. This thing is pushing. There's a lot of volume being done, and that's when we started looking at levels higher. So that first level was established, in the pre-market today, 887.75, and we had 883 and a quarter, and of course we had this 880 level, this pivot level that we were really watching closely. When we finally broke above this 883 and a quarter level and held it, so right about here, this is where we started to see a lot of just bid all the way up. And when we broke that 887.75, I'm sitting here saying, when we were at this like just at 881, these 890s were the thing that I was watching today. These 890s that were expiring later today, the monthlies. I was watching these at $1, and I was saying, I don't know. It's looking like it could go up, but I'm not sure, and I think it's going to go up. There's a lot of bidding going on. It's impressive action, but with $1, there's too much risk on the table for a small account like me. I don't know if I'm going to take it. Well, that $1 turned into what? $13 on those 890s. $13. So I mean, ass hattishness nature over here by me. But this is pretty prime, and a good example again. When we started holding this 880 level, the minute we got above this and continued to hold higher, that was sort of your cue. That was your cue. And that 883 and a quarter, that break right about here, this is when a lot of the buying, this is when the bid really stepped up. And we continued to see this move higher and higher and higher throughout the day. And then when we had this, you can kind of see this profile here, we started seeing a little bit of a peak out at 90 or 900. And I mean, that's a huge move. That's an enormous move. From 876 all the way to 900, that's unreal. That's a ridiculous move intraday, and you could see the selling then start to come in a little bit, and we've tapered off since then. We're kind of getting back to that level, but again, we pulled back off of that 900 level, and you could see it on the profile itself. You could see the sells coming in, and this was your area. If you were able to capture, if you were able to grab your balls, as Lucci would say, and hold this 880 level. Get into something that had an optimal risk-reward level. Those 890s were something that a lot of people, or a couple people in our chat room got into, and held through it. This was your area. This was your area right here to realize supply is a little bit stronger than demand, ask is a little bit heavier than the bid, and selling sort of took over here. So Pete, I'll let you go and explain your side of things. But again, with the market profile, the main thing you want to concentrate on here is that 880 level. I mean, that was very, very critical, and you could see it on the profile itself. A lot of volume came in there. There was going to be a move. You could see the move develop, and at that point, it was kind of the strategy that Pete was using, so the traditional tape reading, which I'll let him discuss.
So in general, guys, just to show you what I look at and without the profiling is essentially, we start the day off with just seeing this, all right? There's a big drop-off, and I'll show you guys. I'll pull up the level 2s in just a second. But essentially what I'm doing is that I have the assessment that post-earnings we're going to have overinflated volatility levels on these options. It's too risky to just throw something at an out-of-the-money option for a long, so I'm selling options all on the outsides. I've already got my levels bracketed. 870 and lower, 890 and above, okay? Those are my areas. And I'm already looking at, where our current levels are of the 890s and then the 880s, all right? These are all pre-market levels. So as the open gets going, we get the massive drop, and I'm like, okay, let's see if we're going to be bearish. So I'm selling calls immediately, okay? I'm selling out of the money calls because I know they're overinflated, all right? We get a little bump up. I get a little scared and I'm selling some other calls, what happens is that 880 on the actual tape is a very, very important level, because what you'll see is that a couple times we would bounce back and forth on this 880, and either bids would line up or there would be big offers right around it. You know, they would not actually, you'll never actually see big guys lining up exactly on those hold numbers anymore. They're going to try to make markets right around it. So you got to watch out for big numbers and also lots of activity around there. So as it busts through, we pretty much noticed that there's not much volume here. The bids actually just disappear. It was not actually tons of selling, I would say, but even if there's not tons of selling, you can have a lower price because the bids aren't there to support. Thankfully, so at that time, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get a little heavier on the out-of-the-money calls for the sell side. As we bottom out, I start seeing that there's bids coming in. I'm not 100% yet, you know, because again, I'm kind of sketched out by the fact that we had earnings and we don't have a real sentiment yet, so I'm not sure yet to pull the trigger on selling puts. We get back to the 880 and we start realizing again, 880 is a huge area. Again, market makers are all over this. Tons of activity here. Still lots of indecision whether it's going to be a dip under 880 to move higher, or a back and forth 880 flat line, or back and forth 880 and lower. You only have three scenarios. We all know that 880 is somewhere they do not want to be. Okay. With that in mind, I'm still selling calls, and I start selling some puts. Okay. And so essentially, I'm selling selling the straddle. Okay. If you guys want to get into nitty gritty there. So what ends up happening is that we fall off again. I get a little scared, and I peel off some of these puts. Okay. Once I peel off some of those sold puts, this thing comes right back in, and all of a sudden what happens is that she starts peaking over 880, and then the bids just line up. If you want to consider this microstructure, the level 2 just gets thick, extremely thick around 880, and boom, she makes the move. And then, you know, you want a little confirmation, because most likely the first big move is the fake out, and they want to kind of go back and forth. But the bids kept lining up, and then boom, there's another big move here, and I get more and more confident that, okay, we're actually going to stay above 880. So what happens is that I start at the 870s, okay, and 865s, and selling those puts. I get shaken out, I get out of some 870s, I get back in, and then I get more and more confident. I start blowing those 870s out, because I just want to crush those, because again, these are all overly inflated options, okay? And I still have my out-of-the-money calls that I was selling this morning too, okay? So as the day goes by, I'm like, okay, what are my levels now? I don't even know where the levels are up here. All I know is that above this 885 pretty much is open airspace, okay? Way open airspace on the top side, because nobody has really traded there since the drop in earnings, okay? And so what ends up happening is that I actually get spooked. I'm like, oh, crap. This thing is getting 885. I've got 890s and 895s that I'm selling. I'm like, all right, I got to just dump these. So I just take those for a loss. And what I do is that as we break 885, I actually move in. I say I feel confident. I know 880 is a strong bid. It's close to the lows of the day. Likelihood of going there after breaking 885 is going to be low. So I'm going to start selling these too. And then as we go higher and higher, the volatility completely drains out. Time decay completely crushes these, and these are all options from like anywhere between $1 to $2 that are all down here. Which usually, if you play Google, if they're that far out, if they're 10 to 15 points out, usually they're only worth about 45 to 50 cents. So I'm like, I'm getting lucky today. I already have the game plan of selling volatility and selling decay, and so I'm literally just selling the 880 line. Unfortunately, I didn't move it up any further, and as this thing kind of topped out around like 890 to 892, I was like, all right, screw it. I'm just going to dump the position. So I sold everything from an average about $1.80 all the way down to zero. Okay, and I'm going to kind of show you how difficult that was and how important it is to have a direct market access platform. So I'm just going to go ahead and pull this up. Oops. Let's see. Share screen. Here we go. So this is the first layer of options that I have pulled up. As you can see, I have all the calls pulled up and all the puts pulled up here. And I even have another screen pulled up here of more calls and puts. And obviously the chat room. What's up, chat room? Good to see you guys. And so essentially what I want to show you here, guys, is the back and forthness. Okay? I will pull up the actual executions that we played in today. If you look at this, this is freaking absurd. All right, this is on all those options. All right, and I'll even pull up the P&L. A lot of people kind of give us crap for thinking that we're fake P&L, but here's the actual account. Okay, here's our actual P&L. All right, so you can even see that we're in tons of options throughout the day. Okay, so essentially, I want to tell you guys this kind of like some secret sauce here of how we actually play this. All right, so what I'm doing again, let me just make sure I'm on the right screen, is that, again, I have these calls pulled up and I have these puts pulled up. I started these first, and then I get back into the puts. I'm back and forth, essentially semi-market making on both of these. Okay, I'm selling calls and I'm selling puts. When I get scared, all right, when I get scared, what I do is that I have these at-the-money options. Okay, this one's not pulled up as at-the-money, but essentially we were at the-money options at that point, and I'm buying and selling the at-the-monies because I want to hedge out the likelihood of Google completely dropping out or completely running. So I'm actually losing tons of money. I would say, like, back and forth, I'm losing, you know, anywhere between like $3,000 to $5,000 in the beginning, just scalping in and out of these, trying to get myself well positioned for the actual move. Okay, so when the move actually happens, so I'll switch back to my other screen. When the move actually happens, I say, okay, I don't like the calls, I'm bullish today, and I'm just going to careen all of these puts as much as I can. All right, I mean, just sell all of them all the way down. So again, I had the 860s, 865, 870, 875, 880s, all right? And I stopped at 880s because I was just like, you know, I don't want too much stress on my life. I don't want to be like Lucci sitting here all day. And so I ended up closing out the day with 21K worth of gains by, I would say, you know, 11 o'clock. And then I got some Chipotle, and that was pretty much it, and I called it a day. So essentially, guys, hopefully you're understanding that you can do this stuff too, okay? And if you had the market profile idea, I'll switch back to this real quick. If you had the market profiling idea, you wouldn't have to stare at the bid offer like I do all the time or like Lucci does. All right, you might have to look at it occasionally to see if you have any big paper showing up, but the market profile essentially tells you your levels. If you don't want to trade when there's high volume, leave it alone. Wait till it gets out of these profile areas to touch different spots. Okay, once it's out, you have now established an area of support. If you have a big enough account, sell some out of the money puts because they're going to expire worthless. You know that this area needs to hold the entire day. All right. If you want to play long, throw some lottos on. You know, throw some of those 20-cent lottos and try to see if you can make some money. TME in the chat got it from the 895s, I think, from $1 to $6. These options, the 900s, the 895, 890s, they all started off at around 50 cents. And right now, let's see where the 890s are. 890s are at $6, $7, 895s, 285 by $3. I mean, when this entire thing broke out to the 900s, I would say the 890s were at $13 at that point. So we're talking about a move from 80 cents, $1, $1.25, all the way up to 13 bucks. Okay? If you had the right profile idea, you'd be able to catch these moves. I'm not saying this doesn't come with a lot of risk on your Fridays, because Fridays, again, if you look at the SPY, we are just completely dead in the water. There is no action at all. You can't make money in this. All right? So again, that is the main reason why I said I wanted to sell options today instead of buy them. But for all of you that did buy the Google, congratulations, you did a great job. So again, guys, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get feedback from you guys on how you like the tape reading. We've had a lot of guys say, you know, I don't have the time to watch the tape, all of that, and you know, I'm a swing trader, I have a smaller account. So essentially, the market profiling is a way for you guys to actually do this without to actually tape read without actually having to be there all the time.
And the one, before we even get into this, the one good question that I saw from Mushin out there, and thank you for attending today. The one good question I saw from him, and it's a good lead into where Pete was going. How can you tell the difference between buying and selling at that 880 level? Where is it? I don't understand. And that's a perfect question because it's difficult and it takes time to get a feel for that actual level. What is buying? What is selling? So when Pete was saying to me today, the bids are lining up, I was looking at the level 2 and I could see it. And there was another question, what do you mean by extremely thick? How, another question by the same person, Chris, are you saying you could have caught it because you see the volume? Yes. So what we're seeing here, we're seeing a lot of volume come in at this 880 level, and after that move that Pete discussed, after that these bids were thick, the level was holding, we see the volume. The volume at these prices is visual. It's right there. The profile is telling you there's going to be a move. When we see the bids line up and we see that first initial break with a pullback, the pullback here that actually holds higher than that level that we were looking at 880. It holds higher and ends up holding that 881. That's a lot of information that we get in about a 5-minute time span that tells you this thing is going to move higher. How high it's going to move, that's kind of up to judgment. I mean, we have levels that we can use. We have the VWAP, which we broke. We had this 883.75, which we broke. 887 and 75, which we broke. We broke all of these levels, but it's completely up to the risk that you're willing to put on, the strikes that you're willing to look at, and it's up to how much you want to play. Do you want to be conservative with it? Do you want to play the 890s? Do you want to get risky with it? Do you think this thing is going to absolutely take off and go to 900? So there are a lot of things that we can take away from this, but the main thing is that 5-minute period where after dropping out and then dropping out again but holding higher, you can see the volume. The profile is there for you. It's showing
Zach,
these levels.
don't give them too much now. Okay?
That's true.
We don't want to give them too much now. This is a free webinar. Zach's already spun too many beans here. But essentially, selecting options is a very tough thing to do. And again, that is something we do teach. And the segue here, honestly, guys, what you wanted to see is this 880 hold, and you wanted to see some movement today. Again, the market profile was there to help you. Okay, a lot of people are saying, can you play just by catching the volume? No, you cannot. If you look at this is what you'd normally be looking at. What can you see here? You see absolutely diddly squat. All right, you need volume by price, which is essentially tape reading, which is market profile. You need volume by price. How many people care about price at that point, and how much congestion is there? You can't tell that from these vertical volume bars, but you can tell them from the horizontal volume by price bars. And we're just going to leave it there, guys. Essentially, again, come check out the course. I'm going to leave it to Zach to kind of talk about it here.
Pete cut me off. You guys see how into this I get, because it's a really useful technique for those of you that cannot sit at the computer all day and watch the tape. I get into it. It's very helpful, and all the questions that you guys are pushing is fantastic. It's awesome. I answered a couple, and maybe I got a little bit too in-depth. You guys got a really good teaser today, which is what we wanted to do. So this course, the On-the-Move Options Trading course, launches on Monday, this upcoming Monday, a couple days from now. So enjoy your weekend, but when Monday starts, class begins. The cost is going to be $150 a month. It's going to be 6 recorded 40-minute educational videos covering option market basics, on-the-move strategies that we've built up, and, of course, the bread and butter technique that we discussed today, market profiling. Now, there's something cool that we've been working on this week to really get this to be an awesome educational tool for you guys. The On-the-Move Options Trading Google group includes a variety of different things that we can use if you're in the class, if you join the class, regarding free talk, anything, any topic you want to bring up, you can post it. Any questions you want to bring up, you can post that. All of the quizzes, you will have quizzes after you take those educational courses. So after every single video, after every single lesson, you're going to want to take a quiz just to understand and make sure that you're getting the material that's being taught. We'll have specific stuff on market profiling. We'll have a whole section on that. We'll have specific on-the-move trading setups that work very well for, for the people that are in the course, that work very well for me. And of course, we'll have event sections. So any kind of webinars that we're posting on it, any kind of, films that we're going to have, live streams, whatever it may be. Included with this as well, so you can follow along, is the 60-plus page digital course guide. We also are going to have a live bi-weekly Q&A review sessions that I'll sit in on. If you guys have any questions at all, it'll last like 30 minutes to an hour. We'll do it every other week. And this is just a way for you guys to be able to ask me questions, ask Pete questions, ask Lucy questions, ask the people who are going to be there for those particular review sessions to actually get more information for what you're paying for. You also, for the first month, get free access to the chat room and the private Twitter feed. And throughout the week, you're going to get midday updates Monday and Friday by me, and you're going to have watch lists in the morning, Tuesday and Thursday, as well as live recorded sessions Tuesday through Thursday as well after the close. There will be some super secret bonus material that we're not going to talk about, but just be prepared for it because it's going to be cool.
Mushin, 150 months for you, $150 per month for you for a lifetime. Okay, we'll keep you in for a lifetime. Let's see. Mushin's also asking, market profiling will have to work in a daily chart for me to consider it effective. Exactly. So Mushin, a really great thing is that you can throw this on a daily chart, and you can actually watch the profile areas. This is probably not going to work.
The best one that you're going to want to look at, and this is the one that I use, and again, I don't want to give off too much because this is stuff that we teach in the course, but the 15-minute is prime. It gives you, a 20-day time frame. It shows you what's going on, and again, this is going to be stuff that's going to be covered a lot better in the course, and we'll be going over it there.
But yeah, essentially, Mushin, you can use it on any
time frames.
Any time frame. Yes, that is great. So if you're a big dip buyer and you really want to play it, you can definitely do that. Let's see. Do you get the software? The software is free. We will. If you have questions on the software, shoot us an email, zach@singlucci.com. Let me pull this back up one more time. If you have any questions, these are our contacts here. Okay. Brent, yes. If you're already in the chat, we will make the chat free for you. Not a problem, buddy. Yes. Liquid Snake is asking, does it give you the areas of interest? Yes. So if you're thinking intraday, if you want to play intraday, this is going to give you the tape for the intraday. If you like to play giant dips and you want to see where the big buyers are coming in on a daily time frame, you can watch that too. This will outline, this will give you the map for where real levels of interest are across the board. But using it is very important because how do you know if it's going to break through? How do you know it's going to bounce? That's the important question is, that's what the important question is, and that's what we're going to answer in the actual course itself. Let's get to some other questions here. Can you show the settings, Victor? You're already a winner at everything, so you're going to have to ask in the chat and all that kind of stuff. Let's see. Okay, guys. Well, if that's pretty much it, glad you guys were able to come make it. I know it's Friday. Make sure
drop that link in the chat. This is gonna be the link. If you guys want more information on it, we will actually be launching this again, like I said, on Monday. But if you want instant updates on what's going on when it launches on Monday, put your email in that link that we just posted in the chat, and we'll get it to you ASAP.
Yeah, make sure you guys hit us up if you have any questions, all right? Thanks, guys, for coming along. Stay cool out there. It is a scorcher. Make sure you have some fun.